What happens when a woman born into one of Britain's most scrutinized families decides to write her own story? Can beauty, grace, and lineage truly coexist with freedom, individuality, and ambition? And how does one step out from the shadow of Diana, the most beloved royal icon of all time, without losing the light? For Lady Kitty Spencer, these weren't abstract questions. They were the quiet truths shaping her very existence. As the daughter of Charles Spencer, 9th Earl Spencer, and Victoria Lockwood, and the niece of Princess Diana, Kitty's life was written in the language of legacy. Her every step watched, every choice compared, every gesture measured against the myth of her family name. But this is not the story of another aristocrat defined by her lineage. It is the story of a woman who refused to be confined by it, a tale of reinvention, resilience, and quiet rebellion. Lady Kitty Spencer didn't just inherit a legacy, she transformed it, crafting an identity that is entirely her own. Born on December 28, 1990, at St. Mary's Hospital in London, Lady Kitty Eleanor Spencer entered the world as the eldest daughter of Charles Spencer, Viscount Althorp, and Victoria Lockwood, a fashion model. The very hospital where she drew her first breath was already famous as the birthplace of her royal cousins, Prince William and Prince Harry. But while those cousins would grow up under the relentless glare of royal protocol and public scrutiny, Kitty's childhood would unfold half a world away, shaped by a different kind of spotlight, one cast by tabloid interest in family dysfunction rather than royal pageantry. In 1997, when Kitty was just 5 years old, the Spencer family relocated to South Africa with her twin sisters and brother, seeking refuge from the British tabloids that had made their lives increasingly difficult. The move was meant to provide sanctuary, a chance for the children to experience normalcy far from the prying lenses that documented every aristocratic misstep. Yet geography alone cannot mend what is already breaking. Victoria Lockwood discovered 6 months after Kitty's birth that Earl Spencer had conducted a post-marital affair with journalist Sally Ann Lasson, a betrayal she described as transforming her overnight from a deeply contented first-time mother to a hurt, scared, and devastated woman. The revelation cast a pall over what should have been the golden years of early childhood. By 1997, the year that would forever be seared into the family's collective memory for Princess Diana's tragic death in a Paris tunnel, Kitty's parents' marriage had completely unraveled. After her parents' divorce, her father moved back to take charge of the family's Althorp estate, while Lady Kitty remained in South Africa with her mother. The separation was both geographical and emotional. Kitty and her siblings have been jetting between their mother in Cape Town and their father's homes in England on a regular basis ever since, a pattern that would define her formative years. Always in transit, always between worlds, never quite settled in either. Her father left the children behind and moved back to the UK, while Kitty and her 3 siblings stayed in Cape Town with their mother, who sought help for substance abuse problems. Victoria has spoken about struggling with eating disorders in the past, as well as battling drug and alcohol addiction. The echoes of pain reverberated through generations. Diana herself had battled bulimia and a troubled marriage, and now her brother's children witnessed their own mother's struggles with similar demons. She enrolled in Redham House, a private school in Cape Town where she was a model student. Her childhood was spent away from the media spotlight. Despite the privilege of private education and aristocratic lineage, Kitty's youth was marked by the kind of emotional complexity that no amount of wealth can shield against. Kitty has joked that they belong in the world of daytime TV, telling Hello magazine in 2008. Sometimes I feel like my family should be on the Jerry Springer show, though also insisting, from the outside, the structure looks so dysfunctional. However, every single member of my family is part of my happiness. The ability to find humor in dysfunction, to acknowledge pain while refusing to be defined by it, this would become one of Kitty's defining characteristics. Her parents divorced when she was 6, and the timing of that dissolution, coinciding with Diana's death, meant that 1997 became a year when everything changed. The aunt she barely knew became a ghost whose legacy would follow her throughout life, a spectre of beauty and tragedy that people would forever see reflected in Kitty's own features. Yet South Africa offered gifts along with its challenges. I was lucky to have a childhood there, Kitty has said, describing a sense of freedom unavailable to her royal cousins in England. The beaches, the relative anonymity, the distance from the suffocating expectations of aristocratic life, all of this shaped a young woman who learned early to value privacy, to compartmentalize, to keep certain doors firmly closed against intrusion. In 1992, when Lady Kitty was 1 year old, she appeared with her mother on the cover of Harper's Bazaar UK. Beauty, it seemed, was her birthright, inherited from both her striking mother and the Spencer gene pool that had produced Diana's photogenic perfection. But Kitty would wait years before stepping fully into that spotlight herself. She made one of her first public appearances in 2007, joining her cousins Prince William and Prince Harry at a memorial service for Diana, Princess of Wales, who had died 10 years prior. The photograph from that service would become iconic. 3 Spencer sisters, blonde and poised, looking uncannily like younger versions of their late aunt. The public's fascination was immediate. Who were these girls who had emerged, seemingly fully formed, from their South African sanctuary? Kitty studied psychology, politics, and English literature at the University of Cape Town. She later studied art history and Italian in Florence, Italy, before completing a master's degree in luxury brand management from the European Business School, London at Regent's University London. The educational trajectory reveals an intellectual curiosity and strategic thinking. She wasn't content to simply trade on her looks or family name. The luxury brand management degree, in particular, suggested someone who understood the business side of beauty, who recognized that in the modern world, one's image could be both art and asset. In 2009, Lady Kitty was presented as a débutante at the Hôtel de Crayon's Le Bal des Débutantes in Paris, a formal introduction to society that felt like a bridge between her aristocratic heritage and her emerging adult identity. But it was her professional modeling debut in 2015 in the December issue of Tatler that marked her true arrival. In September 2017, she walked for Dolce & Gabbana in a fashion show during Milan Fashion Week, and the Italian design house immediately recognized in Kitty something precious, a blend of blue-blooded elegance and commercial viability, of old-world refinement and contemporary cool. In May 2018, Bulgari announced that Lady Kitty would be the new face of the jewelry brand, working as their newest brand ambassador, and her ascent seemed unstoppable. By the time Prince Harry married Meghan Markle in May 2018, Kitty was impossible to overlook. Dressed in Dolce & Gabbana, she attended the royal wedding and nearly stole the show, her presence generating countless headlines. Who was this gorgeous blonde in emerald green? How had Diana's nieces remained hidden for so long? Yet even as her star rose, whispers followed. The first concerned inheritance and gender. Although Lady Kitty is the 9th Earl Spencer's firstborn child, the title and family estates, Althorp and Spencer House, will pass to her younger brother, Viscount Althorp, due to male primogeniture. Kitty expressed her personal belief in gender equality, while also stating that she believes her brother should inherit. The contradiction seemed to encapsulate a deeper tension, a modern woman bound by ancient traditions, publicly supporting a system that inherently disadvantages her, while privately perhaps harboring more complex feelings. The second controversy would prove far more sensational. In January 2020, Lady Kitty announced her engagement to Michael Lewis, the 61-year-old South African-British multimillionaire chairman of fashion company Foschini Group. The age gap was staggering. 32 years separated bride and groom. Michael Lewis is older than her father, Earl Spencer, a fact that generated considerable public commentary and speculation. In the 1930s, his grandfather Maya Lewis founded the Lewis Furniture retail chain. Michael has 3 adult children from his marriage to ex-wife Leola, whom he wed in 1985. Spencer and Lewis married in Frascati at the Villa Aldobrandini on the 24th of July 2021. Her wedding dress, a lace, long-sleeved Victorian-inspired gown, was designed by Dolce & Gabbana. The company designed 5 custom dresses in total for the celebrations, which took place over the course of 3 days. The wedding was a spectacle of Italian elegance, each custom Dolce & Gabbana gown more breathtaking than the last. Celebrity guests mingled with family members in the 16th century villa's gardens. Yet one notable absence dominated the whispers: Earl Spencer himself. Lady Kitty Spencer's marriage to Michael Lewis featured one glaring red flag: that royal fans have found difficult to overlook: the absence of her father, Charles Spencer, from the ceremony. With the Earl unavailable, Louis Spencer and half-brother Samuel Aitken walked Kitty down the aisle. Some believe Charles may have been uncomfortable with the fact that Kitty's husband is older than he is. Others suggest his absence hints at a strained relationship with Kitty, while some point to reports that he may have been nursing an injury at the time. The explanation of injury seemed convenient, perhaps too convenient. Since Charles was also a no-show at Amelia's wedding, his absence at Kitty's ceremony seems intentional and rooted in their family dynamics. The pattern suggested something deeper: a father who had left his children behind once before, in Cape Town, perhaps finding it difficult to be present for the most important moments of their adult lives. Or perhaps, as some speculated, a father genuinely troubled by his daughter's choice of husband. Psychologists and armchair analysts had a field day with the relationship. From a psychological perspective, dating older partners could hint at attachment patterns shaped by a father's absence during childhood. The tabloids seized on the idea with predictable ease: the daughter of a man often away during her upbringing, seeking stability and protection in older partners. The narrative practically wrote itself. Michael Lewis, the South African fashion tycoon 30 years her senior, became the latest focus of this storyline, yet he wasn't the first. Kitty had previously dated Niccolò Baratieri di San Pietro, a property developer 2 decades older, further fueling the theory that her romantic choices reflected an unresolved longing for paternal steadiness. But life rarely fits neatly into the boxes that commentators build. Beneath the headlines, Kitty and Lewis built something quieter and more grounded than the public imagined. In 2023, the couple welcomed their first child, a daughter named Athena, born on April 29th. True to form, they chose privacy over spectacle, keeping the birth secret until March 2024, revealing their daughter to the world only when the moment felt right, on their own terms. When Lady Kitty finally shared images of Athena to mark her second birthday, the photographs told a different story entirely, not of psychological projection or scandal, but of peace, maturity, and the fulfillment of a woman who had learned to define her own happiness. The privacy surrounding Athena's arrival speaks volumes about the lessons Kitty learned from her own childhood, from Diana's tragedy, from years of navigating the dangerous shoals between public curiosity and private life. She became a stepmother to Michael's 3 adult children from his first marriage, but Athena represents something different, a chance to write a new story, to parent differently than she was parented, to protect her daughter from the dysfunction that marked her own early years. As of 2025, she and her husband were residing in Marylebone, London, having finally settled in one place after a lifetime of moving between continents, between parents, between identities. The London home represents permanence, stability, the kind of rooted existence that eluded her throughout childhood. Throughout her modeling success and personal life dramas, Kitty maintained commitments that revealed depths beyond the glossy magazine spreads. Lady Kitty is an ambassador for Centrepoint, a charity that supports homeless young people. She specifically supports their independent living program that provides low-cost housing to support young people. Her Aunt Diana, Princess of Wales, was formerly Centrepoint's patron. The choice to champion Centrepoint wasn't accidental. It connected her to Diana's legacy in meaningful work rather than mere appearance. She is also a trustee and patron for the military charity Give Us Time. In June 2017, Spencer helped raise £140,000 for the Elton John AIDS Foundation. These weren't token efforts or photo opportunities. They represented genuine engagement with causes that mattered. The advocacy work suggests a woman aware of her privilege and determined to leverage it for good. Having grown up with material advantages but emotional challenges, perhaps Kitty understood that homelessness came in many forms, that one could have a roof overhead and still feel fundamentally unmoored. Lady Kitty Spencer's life reads like a novel, one with drama, beauty, heartbreak, and the kind of complications that resist easy resolution. She is a woman of contradictions, an aristocrat who champions equality while accepting primogeniture, a model who fiercely guards her privacy, a modern woman who married a man from her father's generation, a daughter who maintains that her dysfunctional family constitutes her happiness. For all the glories of the family name and estate, the most enduring image of Lady Diana and Earl Spencer's childhood is one of almost Gothic loneliness and neglect, with their mother, Frances Shand Kidd, leaving home when Charles was just 3 and Diana 6. That abandonment echoed through generations, shaping Charles Spencer's own difficulties with marriage and fatherhood, which in turn shaped Kitty's childhood of parental absence and transcontinental commutes. Behind the sun-kissed reflection of wealth and privilege, theirs is a story that reads sometimes as bleakly as Charles and Diana's own, a tale of 3 poor little rich girls. Yet Kitty has managed something remarkable. She has emerged from that bleakness not bitter, but self-possessed, not broken, but resilient. She has built a career on her own terms, made controversial choices without apology, become a mother determined to do better. At 34, she stands at an interesting crossroads. The modeling career that brought her fame will inevitably shift as she ages in an industry obsessed with youth. Her marriage to a man in his 60s means that at some point, likely while she's still relatively young, she may face widowhood. Her relationship with her father remains, by all accounts, complicated at best. The Spencer family's track record with marriage, her father's 3 marriages, her parents' acrimonious divorce, Diana's own marital tragedy, cast long shadows. Yet perhaps Kitty has learned the most important lesson of all, that we cannot escape our histories, but we need not be imprisoned by them. She carries Diana's face, but not her fate. She bears the Spencer name, but not its burden of primogeniture. She knows dysfunction intimately, but refuses to let it define her daughter's future. The photographs that first captivated the public, Lady Kitty at royal weddings, Lady Kitty on runways, Lady Kitty in jeweled advertisements, tell only the surface story. The real narrative lies deeper, in the little girl shuttling between continents searching for home, in the young woman building a career while protecting her privacy, in the new mother fiercely shielding her daughter from the cameras that documented her own troubled childhood. Lady Kitty Spencer's story isn't finished. It may yet include more controversies, more triumphs, more heartbreaks, but it will be hers, written on her terms, lived according to her choices, understood only by those willing to look beyond the stunning resemblance to a dead princess and see instead a living, breathing woman who emerged from chaos to create her own peculiar, imperfect peace.